Hello students of class 9. Today we are going to start with the first chapter of your English Rapid book. It is the R.K. Narayan's Malgudi Days. The first chapter that we are going to do is Tiger's Claw. So it's an interesting chapter where we find how talkative man who tells the story to the narrator about his encounter with the tiger. Let us go straight away to the chapter itself. The man-eater's dark career was ended. The men who had laid it low were the heroes of the day. They were garlanded with chrysanthemum flowers and seated on the arch of the highest bullock cart and paraded in the streets, immediately followed by another bullock-drawn open cart on which the trophy lay with glazed eyes, overflowing the cart on every side, his tail trailing the dust. The villagers suspended all the normal activity for the day. Men, women, and children thronged the highways, pressing on with the procession, excitedly talking about the tiger. The tiger had held a reign of terror for nearly 5 years in the village that girt Memphis Forest. So the story begins in this way that a tiger who had been creating a reign of terror, that is, who had become very dangerous for the villagers for 5 years, for as long as 5 years, had finally been killed. And so the villagers are in a very happy mood. All the hunters who have killed the tiger, they are being appreciated. We are being honored by garlanding, garland. So by garlanding them with chrysanthemum flowers, and they were seated on the highest arch. You have seen the bullock cart, so you have the arched part of it. So they were seated on the highest arch of the bullock cart. They were seated there, and they were going around the streets of that village, and we will come to know that it is the name of the village is Gopal, and followed by these heroes of the day was the trophy. And what is being referred to as the trophy? The tiger is being referred to as the trophy here. So they were, and these heroes were followed by another bullock cart which was completely open. There was no cover, and they took that dead tiger, okay, in that open bullock cart, and it was so huge that it was overflowing the cart on every side. That is, the cart was small for that tiger, and its tail was trailing the dust, that is kind of sweeping the dust. So you can imagine the huge body of the tiger being laid in a bullock cart, and yes, and the trophy lay glazed eyes. So the eyes of the tiger, the bright eyes of the tiger, so still the tiger's eyes were open. So that tiger was being carried in an open bullock cart, and it was so huge that it was overflowing on every side. And what were the villagers doing? The villagers had means they had suspended, that is, they had stopped for that day doing any kind of work. So they had taken leave from all kind of normal activities that they do, and they had joined the procession that was going along the highway. And sorry, because they were very happy that ultimately the tiger, which had been creating a reign of terror. Reign of terror means everybody was terrified of the tiger because it had killed many people. And for 5 long years, this tiger had been troubling them. So the tiger was dead, and so all the people from the village, they just came, joined the procession only to see that catch a glimpse, that is, see the tiger for once. We watched the scene fascinated, drifting along with the crowd, till the talkative man patted us from behind and cried, lost in wonder, if you have had your eye full at the carcass, come aside and listen to me. So this narrator, okay, we would say, call him a narrator, who was, we guess, was one of the villagers itself. So they were busy going along in the procession, and they were fascinated, means it's like it's beyond their imagination that ultimately this tiger is dead, and they were so happy with everything. So drifting along with the crowd, drifting along means they were going along with the crowd, and while they were going, all of a sudden this talkative man, who we will see from now on, it's his story that we are going to read. So the talkative man patted them from the back and said that, okay, you're lost in wonder, okay, you're wondering about this tiger, and you are rejoicing that the tiger is dead, but if you take a close look at the carcass means the dead body of of any animal, okay, carcass, then you should come aside, that is, you should come out of the crowd and listen to me. After the crowd surged past us, so the narrator and maybe one or two people who wanted to listen to the talkative man, they just came out of the crowd, and the crowd surged past, that is, the rest of the people followed on. He sat us on a rock. So he made us sit on a rock, this talkative man, under a margosa tree. It's a kind of a tree, and began his tale. Began his tale means began his story. I was once camping in Kopal, the most obscure. Obscure means, hardly you can, find any mention of it. Obscure of all the villages that lie in the Mempi region. Okay, so this village, Kopal, it is in the Mempi region, and it is very obscure, that is, people hardly know about it. Okay, you would not find a mention of it even in the maps in that way. You might wonder what I was doing in that desolate corner of the earth. Desolate means remote, okay, very remote, very lonely corner of the earth. I'll tell you. You remember, I've often spoken to you about my work as an agent of a soil fertilizer company. So he was an agent. So we know, agent, generally, their job is always to talk about the different products of the company. So since this talkative man was an agent of a soil fertilizer company, his job was to go around and advertise, okay, or rather make the product of his company popular. You remember, I have often spoken to you about my work as agent of a soil fertilizer company. It was the most miserable period of my life. That is, miserable means, I disliked this period of mine the most. Why? 25 days in a month I had to be on the road. visiting nooks and corner of the country and popularizing the stuff. Why was it miserable? Because almost, whole of the month, as means as many as 25 days, I used to be traveling from one place to another, and my job was to go to different places and tell about the product of my company. Popularizing stuff means advertising for the products of his company. Um, Once a journey brought me to the village Kopal. So in one such journey, I came to this village Kopal. It was not really a village. So this village Kopal was not really a village. That is, it didn't fit the definition of a village. Okay, a village is bigger than that. It was not really a village, but just a clearing with about 40 houses and 2 streets hemmed in. Okay, so 40 houses, and in between there were 2 streets hemmed in by the jungle on all sides. So it was surrounded by a jungle. Since it was surrounded by a jungle, it's quite natural that you will have tigers over there. The place was dingy and depressing. Dingy means very dark and poorly lit. Okay, and depressing, that is, you won't feel like, depressing means sad. So that you will never like that place. Nobody would want to go to that place. Why our company should have sought to reach a place like this for their stuff, I can't understand. So I didn't understand that why my company had to take their stuff to that place. They would not have known of its existence but for the fact that it was on the railway. So why was this shown on the map? The main reason why it did it did have some sort of existence on the map, because there was a railway station. Yes, actually on the railway, some obscure branch line passed through this village, though most trains did not stop there. But most of the trains did not stop at this place. Its center of civilization was its railway station, presided over by a porter in blue and a station master, a wizened man wearing a green turban and with red and green flags always tucked under his arm. So why it became, why people came to know about that place was that there was a railway station, and that railway station was the center of civilization. That is, people would earn their living from there. And who was there in that station? A porter, that you call a coolie, and a station master. Naturally, the station master has to be there to keep it functioning. Who was a wizened man. So he was quite an old man. Okay, means old in the sense wizened, wrinkled in that way. Okay, let me tell you about the station. It was not a building, but an old railway carriage which, having served its term, was deprived of its wheels and planted beside the railway lines. It had 1 or 2 windows through which the station master issued tickets and spoke to those occasional passengers who turned up in the wilderness. A convolvulus creeper was trained over its entrance. No better use could be found for an X-carriage. So the station was not actually a building. What was it? It was a railway carriage. Okay, it was a railway carriage which you know, no longer could be used as a carriage, and the wheels were taken off and it was placed just beside the railway track, which served as a station room. And there were one or two windows through which the station master issued tickets and also spoke to those passengers who came. Occasional passengers means rarely passengers came there, but whoever came there, this station master spoke to those passengers through those windows. And there was a convolvulus creeper. That is a plant, a creeper plant, which was there at the entrance of the station. Okay, and the author is saying that that this old carriage was put to a very good use. Okay, thank you students. We stop here today. We will do the rest of the chapter in the next day. Thank you.